I think this is probably going to be my one of my most unhinged or just long ranting video about the people in this state. So good afternoon. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. And like I said in the little intro of this video, I kind of like around what the title states is, here's my problem with Florida. And it doesn't have to deal with the state, it doesn't have to deal with any of that kind of stuff. No, it has to deal with the people. And the people who've moved, specifically who've moved down here, and honestly in the past 6 years, 6 to 7 years, in that kind of time frame. Now you're wondering, oh Justin, why do you hate the people who've moved down here in that time frame? Or like what's your deal? Or like why you always got your panties in a wad about the people who moved down here in the past 6 years? And the reason being is that the people who moved down here don't know how to assimilate into the state. They moved from XYZ state, bringing their crappy ways and the way they treat people, their disrespectful manners, and they bring it down here, tainting and soiling the well-mannered and the good folk of the local Floridian populace, because they think that it's like New York where you can just say yeah. It's not yeah, it's yes sir, or it's yes ma'am kind of thing. It's not just yeah, I'll have that, or yes ma'am. It's yes ma'am, I'll have that. But I'm not here to talk about manners. I'm just talking about the people who've moved down here. One, they pretty much don't know how to assimilate into the state. And what do I mean by assimilating into the state? Florida is renowned for having a lot of water, the Gulf of America, the Keys, the United States, the Atlantic Ocean, like the streams, the St. Johns River, the intercoastal, all the lakes and streams that are in Central Florida, the springs in Central Florida. They don't know how to live in this state. They moved down here because it was an open state during COVID, but they actually didn't know what Florida was like. They're just used to vacationing in Florida. They just, oh, we go to Disneyland, or we go to, what is that, Cedar something. There's a park, or like in Tampa, that has like a bunch of roller coasters and stuff. And let me know in the comments. I'm blanking on it and I honestly can't remember right now. Cedar Park might be the name. Oh, I might be wrong on that. Anyways, I'm getting a little sidetracked. But what do I mean by people not knowing how to assimilate in the state? They don't go out and fish. They're pretty much just lazy. When they come down here, when they did come down here, when they lived in their northern crap hole of a state or western crap hole of a state before they moved here, they just vacationed here. They picked a spot like Disneyland in Orlando, or they picked Tampa, or they picked Miami, Fort Lauderdale, or they picked the Keys, and they think they just go there and they do all the little fun things, right? They go on the boat, they go on the fishing charter, they go, I don't know, they go to Disneyland, right? They go to the drink around the world, they go to Epcot, they do all the little things that they can read online, but they actually don't do the other stuff that people don't talk about online. They don't go to the springs, they don't hang out at the sandbars, they don't go, it might be my sound related, yeah, you gotta have a boat, but they don't hang out at the sandbars, they don't shoreline fish, they don't fish in general, they don't hunt, they don't care about what Florida naturally has to offer. They only think about the pavement, right? They only think about going to Miami, going to the Hard Rock in Fort Lauderdale, going to the Hard Rock in Tampa, or going into the Keys. Yeah, the Keys aren't paved over, but all I can think about is going from Key West to Marathon, Alamorada, like things like that. Like just hopping through, but they're not actually taking the time to stop and going through the mangroves, going through those shorelines, those tidal flats. They don't stop there unless they're on like some kind of fishing charter, or they're jet skiing. God, I personally hate jet skis. Now, they're always jet skiing, and they're the ones who always got the problems on the water, but that's a different video. Definitely a different video for a different day, which I'm gonna write down at the end of this video. And like I said, like they kind of think of it as like the suburban, the Disney kind of like landscape. When people think of Florida, they think of beaches and they think of Disney, but they don't think of the springs. They don't think of all the wildlife management areas that you can deer hunt, you can turkey hunt, you can go to Merritt Island, you can go duck hunting, you can be outside. I'm not saying you have to hunt, but I'm saying you can go to those wildlife management areas and you can walk around, you can explore them, you can see the actual nature that Florida has to offer. All they see is pavement. They see subdivisions, they see highways, they see county roads, but they don't see the dirt roads, right? They don't see the farm, they don't see the cattle ranches, because in their eyes, That's not cool. They don't like seeing cattle ranches or horse farms. They don't like seeing acres and acres of land propped up by white picket fences or just wooden fences, and they're like, oh, ew, those are just redneck hicks. I don't want to be around those people. I want to go be by the exact same people, carbon copy and paste, that speak the same, talk the same, and just act like fools with their degenerate manners. I want to be around them because I actually don't care for the state. I just moved down here because they have less restrictions and their taxes policy is better. And the next one up, I kind of was like, and they're lazy. I think this is my last little talking point, is that people are lazy. Like, there a lot of people who've moved out down here, for the most part, are pretty lazy. If you can take one look, you can stroll, and I know it's a little more biased and it's a little more egocentric, given that I'm training for a half Ironman and I work out all the time. But if you take one stroll through Disney, right, it's all foreigners, it's all people who aren't from the state for the most part. They're all fat, they're all bigger, they're all fat, they're all out of shape, and they all look like melted ice cream cones for the most part. Not all, but most. But you take a look at that, but then you start asking, or you start talking to some of these people, like, I'm from XYZ area, I'm from New York, I'm from New Jersey, I'm from California, I'm from Washington, and not 9 times out of 10 they look like slobs, and then they treat their bodies like slobs. Don't get me wrong, some of their food's great, don't get me wrong, but they just don't take care of themselves. But then they have this hoity-toity, I'm better than you attitude, and that it's their world and I merely revolve around it, and that I have to do things for them, or I have to do things for them because you're this and that, or I did this, or I did it this way now because I did it up there, now I'm going to bring it down here, and that may not fly, and they get all pissy because it hurts their ego that their ways or their mantra doesn't work down here in the South. But anyways, guys, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Take to the comments and let me know what the biggest problem in your opinion about Florida is. It can be whatever. It can be the politics, it can be, I don't know, the people who've moved down here, the Northerners, the Yankees, the cities, whatever it may be. I want to know what your gripes are about Florida, and like why you may or may not like it. I want to know from you. So take the comments and let me know. But I hope you guys have a great day. And if you guys did like this video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you guys are new around here, and I will see you guys in the next video, y'all. Take care.